Memphis is the home of the blues, rock and roll, and Earle Farrell.
From the Collierville Square to the mighty Mississippi, the Earle Farrell for Memphis show is all about good things that happen across the Bluff City and the people who make Memphis cool.
The Earle Farrell for Memphis show is made possible by our title sponsor, Southern Security Federal Credit Union, and by Kathy Thurman Edwards, State Farm Insurance.
By Dive Shop and Dive Ventures nationwide. Jim Karras Chevrolet with George Gully, Napa Cafe Memphis and Glenda Hastings, Phoenix Unequaled Home Entertainment, For Memphis Magazine, the Live at the Garden Concert Series, and the Orpheum Theater Group Memphis, and by Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, family owned and operated for more than 40 years. Thank you to all the sponsors for making this possible.
And now, coming to you from Lansky Brothers, Clothier to the King, inside the world-famous Peabody Hotel with the heart of a cowboy and Memphis in his soul. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Earle Farrell.
And thank you very much, and welcome into Lansky's, and a nice fall day out there, about 81 degrees, even cooler inside the Peabody Hotel in Lansky's, which is a good thing because we like it cool. It is a beautiful day, though, in the neighborhood. And we got a very musically inclined show today. In fact, our first guest is Vernon, a blank for your last name. Snyder. I had it in a slide, and then we deleted the slide, and so I didn't have your name anymore. Vernon is a recent transplant from California, originally Oregon.
That's correct.
And you're the musical, not director, you're like the head of all music ministry, I guess, at St. John's Church here in Memphis. And you're also the choirmaster, and you play the organ. You're the organist. That's what I was
correct. Yeah,
for.
The technical title is organist choirmaster. It's a bit esoteric. It's essentially music director.
How did you get into music in the beginning? I mean, because it's we were talking before the show. You're either good at it and you pursue it, or you're like me, you play the radio. But were you just interested in it to begin with, or did you actually have an affinity for it?
I genuinely enjoyed it. I got piano lessons when I was about 9, which is kind of late I ended up doing classical music, and a lot of my classical colleagues started much, much earlier than that. So in the classical world, that's considered a little bit late, but I did get piano lessons at an early age, and I enjoyed it. I don't know that I had any sense of being good at it per se, but I was always passionate about it.
Were you growing up in Oregon? Where in Oregon?
Southern Oregon, Grants Pass area.
Which is very foreign to us in Memphis. Number one, it's so far away, and unless you've been there, you really can't identify what it's like there. And then you moved from there down to Southern California?
That's correct, yeah, down to Los Angeles County. So I went to Southern Oregon University for undergrad in music, and then I thought, I'm going to give the bigger city a try, and so moved to L.A. and did a master's and doctorate degree down in L.A.
And so along comes Memphis. Did you just get a call one day, or how did all that happen?
Well, it's a very circuitous, as music tends to be, it was a very circuitous journey in that my portfolio prior to that was more classical piano. I was in academia teaching. I had a lot of piano accompanying gigs for students, for some recitals and things like that. But I started playing more pipe organ.
Pipe organ, which is, there is one in the Orpheum Theater.
That is correct, yeah, the theater organ.
And there's a couple of others in town because I've heard them. The most incredible one I heard was at the in Salt Lake City for the radio show. You can't get in to see the TV show, but you can't go for a rehearsal of the radio show. And it was amazing there. That's got to be a very powerful feeling, though, to have that sound when you're used to just a regular organ and then have those pipes hit.
Yeah, it's that's a little bit out of my area of specialty, the theater organ. It's a magnificent thing, but it's one of the many facets of organs in general, and I think was one of the things that I found very attractive about kind of shifting my focus to something outside of piano.
Well, and you got your doctorate, which is why you have a DR in for your name.
Yes.
Which I would use all the time myself. Thank you, Beth. It is, but then did you go into the ministry or music ministry, or did you get hired by St. John's as because we got a slide here and we'll show it of you leading the choir, and you get to wear vestments.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, I had always worked with singers. I had worked with in churches. For the last 20 plus years, I've had some type of church job as an organist, choir director, accompanist, and so my portfolio just started to move more and more towards pipe organ and choral conducting, and that kind of opened up a new realm of possibilities for work and full-time work, which is, it's difficult as a musician often to find one full-time job with all the benefits and things like that. And the Episcopal Church is a wonderful organization to work for, so I just started looking at job postings in what was now becoming my new area of expertise, and that led me to St. John's.
And just because I know George Gully very well, and I've been, I even did some eulogies at St. John's, and it's very well attended by a lot of very prominent Memphians here.
It is, yes.
And they do a lot of work outside the church in the community, which is another good reason I said, let's bring them on, because you do so many other things out there. But is it weird putting on vestments and wearing them? Because
I grew up Catholic, so
I did too. So I was an altar boy.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah.
So no, it didn't feel weird at all.
And I did wear vestments for this thing we did a photo shoot on, and somebody said, you really look kind of priestly. I said, well, there you go. You can't judge a book by its cover, even their vestments. How has moving to Memphis, what was it like for you? Because coming out of California, California's a totally different part of the country and everything about it. Did you blend in immediately? Did you feel like it's a comfortable pair of cowboy boots? Or
I don't know. I'm not sure I'm the best gauge of how well I blend in, but in terms of assimilating and feeling like I appreciate the many beautiful things here. It took time. It was a very big culture change, a culture shock, as they say. Southern California is just very different than the U.S. South, and I had never even been to Tennessee prior to this. And so until, I had an interview. I came out, they flew me out, and I had a wonderful 3-day interview as the final phase of their search process for the post that I ended up being offered. And so I just knew nothing whatsoever. But over the last almost 4 years, I've grown to love so many things: the openness, the generosity, the sincerity, the authenticity, the character of the city. There's a lot of wonderful things to embrace.
I think, because I've lived in a couple of different countries, Canada, Mexico, from Texas, but I've never lived in another state other than Texas and in those foreign countries. But what I found was that in living around is that you have all these people that are kind of similar. You'll see somebody go, that reminds me of my friend Bob, and that girl looks just like this. So you go to different parts of the country, and yet all the same types of people are there wherever you end up. And so there's a kind of a comforting thing in that, all that makes you miss your other friends. You meet people and you kind of know what they're like before you even talk to them. Although I have been wrong a couple of times, but then one of them I found out I was really right. So you've got a lot of events, and I kind of want to get into that because that's one thing we talk about on the show is all the things that happen in Memphis that many people don't know about because they're either put on through churches. But what I like about you is the classical music, which is kind of your background. And you don't have to be a great musician or very astute musically to appreciate the master's works. They've survived thousands of years, hundreds of years. And even though I didn't major in music or anything else, I go to a wedding or something and I hear Chopin or Bach or somebody, I know exactly who it is. And it's a very comforting thing, and it's also beautiful. You've got an event coming up Tuesday, October 21st, 7 p.m., the Gesualdo Six in concert. Did I pronounce that correctly?
The Gesualdo Six. Yeah, Gesualdo is the name of an Italian Renaissance era composer. So this group, they focus on music of the Renaissance, and so they took on the name of a composer for their name.
And they come in, and so they bring the whole show. Does your choir also participate in this, or is it just the instruments?
No, just them. They're an a cappella group. And so they focus primarily on music, sacred music of the Renaissance. So we think of William Byrd, Thomas Tallis, Palestrina, stuff that's not necessarily household names for those that maybe are less aficionados of classical music, but it's stunningly beautiful repertoire. And they are from England. They're one of the top vocal consorts in England. They've done the BBC Proms premiere a few seasons back. They have many CDs that are critically acclaimed. They have a very active international concert circuit throughout Asia, Europe, and North America now. So they're a fabulous group, and they have a website, YouTube, lots of things out there for people to investigate.
Just to give you an idea of what Vernon does, though, we got some video of you playing the organ. Let's go ahead and roll that. Amazing.
Very kind. Thank
You
you.
got to be very proud to be able to pull that off. I mean, it's a lot of people that can play the piano but to go into a place, sit down at something like that, and start playing, it's got to be a thrill.
Well, having started as a pianist, it's still an ongoing journey, and there are of course a lot of organ repertoire with much more active foot pedal parts than that. That was fairly tame.
Yeah, well, and the audio was great on that piece. I mean, it really came through on my headset. So we have good headsets, so it sounded great. My mother-in-law taught piano for many years, and I just asked, said, "MaryLynn, if you could teach me one song," she goes, "What would you like to learn to play?" And "Great Balls of Fire." She told me that was probably not going to happen. So there you do have.
Was that when you lived in Memphis? Before you lived in Memphis?
No, it's when I moved here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was 35 when Kathy and I got married, so I was an old dude even on top of everything else. You've got another show coming up, Choral Compline.
Choral Compline. It's so we at St. John's, we're part of the Episcopal Church, which is basically an extension of the Church of England, and so many of our traditions in the choral repertoire and the way the services are structured are historically products of the Church of England. And so Compline is a practice where it's an evening service. It's very meditative. There's a lot of chant throughout the service, and there's usually music like some Renaissance motets, as they're called, like sacred music in Latin or English, sung by a small ensemble. But we have a professional small ensemble that sings these services. So we've been doing them the first Sunday of every month, September through May so far.
And what's been the reaction to the people you've brought in so far by the folks at St. John?
People that have come have loved it. We're very lucky to have a wonderful base of Friends of Music donors that very generously support a huge amount of our output, including the concerts and special events and hiring singers. But we want these events to be, of course, nourishing to the St. John's community, but I really believe that everything we have to offer can speak to anybody, and we would love for it to be something that enriches the broader Memphis community and beyond.
Absolutely. Sunday, November 9th at 3 p.m., the Requiem for Maurice Dunflay.
Duraflay, yes. So we're performing the Duraflay Requiem. This is a large-scale. So the Requiem, it's basically the Mass for the dead. The text comes from the Latin, the Gregorian chant, the very ancient text. Maurice Duraflay is a 20th century composer that set all of that in a more modern take. So there's kind of a mix of chant, of Gregorian chant, but set in a more modern 20th century way with some sort of jazz influence and modal harmony. So that's going to be a really wonderful event. It's set in November as All Souls, All Saints. It's a month of remembrance.
And then Sunday, November 23rd at 3 p.m., and I'm not going to try to pronounce it, Guhan
Peng, Guhan Peng, a wonderful pianist from the Eastman School of Music. He's presenting a classical piano program on the 23rd at 3 p.m., November 23rd.
We have a piano in our house. The kids can play it, and Kathy can play it. It's art for me. But we have a bust, and I said, is it Mozart or Chopin on the piano? She goes, I don't know. Our interior designer stuck it up there. I said, well, I like both of them, but I was going to bring it up with the show today, and we don't even know who it is. I mean, it could have been Jefferson Davis for all I know. You
can text me when you find. I'm curious to know.
I will take a picture of it. In fact, we were going to do that thing on Google where you can take a picture of something and we'll identify it. But I will send it to you. But this is Ping piano music of Mozart, Schumann, and Chopin.
That is right.
Which you'd love all of them, and especially you being a history of music and being also able to play it and participate, that songs that were written that far back are still just as amazingly intricate and beautiful as they were then. I mean, it's like you hear something from Jimi Hendrix, you say he still stands out as an incredibly musician, and he was very timed, but then you think about he opened for the Monkees. Think about that.
Wow.
I mean, that'd be like, well, Chopin, you're pretty good, but the Monkees are hot right now, so you're opening for the Monkees. But their music stands the test of time.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially for these pieces that have been around for centuries. And another great thing about our series is that everything is offered for free. All this, of course, the liturgies are free, the church services are free, but also all of these concerts are completely free to the public, again, thanks to our donors. And so for anybody out there that's maybe less certain, is like, well, I don't know, maybe I've never heard Chopin live, or maybe I've never heard...
Well, and these are some of the best people to hear it from.
These are top level professionals and offered free of charge, again, for the Memphis community. So this is a great time to check it out.
And where can they see all the lists that we're talking about now of upcoming events? St. John's Facebook page?
They could. It's posted on Facebook, on Instagram, kind of more as updates. I would go to our website, which is stjohnsmemphis.org/music, and it has all the lineups. It has more information about the ensembles and links as well.
Sunday, December 7th, 7:30, Choral Compline.
Yep, we continue our Compline again that we had offered in November, and we already offered this month of October. Again, it's that evening quiet meditative service that just lasts for about a half an hour.
And then just in time for Christmas, Sunday, December 14th, 5 p.m., Lessons and Carols, the Choir of St. John's and guests.
Yes, that's one of our big, much-anticipated services of the year. It's styled after, for those that know the King's College broadcasts over the years of the boys in the little robes with the white collar and stuff, and so it's modeled after that. We don't have a boy soprano choir, but it's all adult women and men. But it's modeled on that English kind of aesthetic for Christmas, with the lessons interspersed with musical responses to that, which could be carols, and it's often solo choral pieces. And so it's one of the great treasures of this choral tradition. It's just wonderful music throughout.
I guess the question I'm really dying to ask you is, what food do you miss from either Oregon or California? Because that is one thing when I lived around is growing up, there were foods that you missed, because that's something everybody was really acclimated toward. And when you can't get what you really love, then that's a missing piece. Is there anything you...
No, I mean, I've never had so much food ever since I moved to Memphis. It's just I would say food and beverages is quite a forte of this region. And so I'm nothing but enjoying trying all the new to me things.
Well, we do have great food here, and it was what I noticed about Canada. They had fish and chips. I like that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was a lot of boiled meat, which I'm not a big fan of. But Mexico, absolutely. I'm one of those people who can eat Mexican food every single day.
Well, that we had good Mexican food in Los Angeles.
Yes,
so.
yeah, it is. And the food trucks there are phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vernon Snyder, thank you so much for coming in and getting to know you a little bit. And we'll try to get you back in and talk more. If you've got one of your choir proteges, have them come in, and next time get some of them performing, and meet some of those, because we want young people to start paying attention to what comes on this show. The way you do that is bring young people on. I've learned that. But thank you very much, Vernon Snyder, Dr. Vernon Snyder, and continue to enjoy your time here in Memphis and at St. John's.
Earl, thank you so very much for having me.
You're sure welcome. Up next, MaryLynn Mack, the Executive Director of Live at the Garden and the Gardens in general, and all that goes on there. We'll be talking about that right after you hear from our sponsors. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Dawn Grader, President and CEO of Southern Security Federal Credit Union. We're the proud title sponsor of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show, coming to you live from Lansky's in the world-famous Peabody Hotel and celebrating all of the great things about our great city, Memphis, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm so proud to be part of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show, streaming live from Lansky's from the Peabody. We will be showcasing not only Napa Cafe, but some great restaurants around town. We look forward to seeing you.
Hello, Memphis Mid-South. And first, I'd like to thank you for visiting with Earle Farrell Memphis today, and we want to support him just like you do. I'm George Gully, one of the sales managers at Jim Carrey Chevrolet. We've been in business here in Memphis for over 75 years. I've been associated with the company for almost 25, and I'll help you find the right car, truck, or SUV here at not only our Chevy store, but also Buick, GMC, Nissan, Subaru. We can help you find that right car. Keep watching Earl and come see me. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm Kathy Thurman Edwards, State Farm, and I'm so excited to be one of the sponsors for the Earle Farrell from Memphis show, broadcasting live from Lansky's at the Peabody. And I'll tell you all about what we've got going on at our office. Gift cards for quotes. No purchase necessary. I'm better looking than a lizard.
And welcome back on this Wednesday afternoon. And our next guest is MaryLynn Mack. She is the Executive Director of Memphis Botanic Gardens. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
A couple of months ago, we had a chance to sit down and visit with you and your good friend who was there at the Live at the Garden art show. And
yes.
I was emceeing it, so we had time to sit down in between my humble little part that I had to play in that.
Oh, you did a great job.
But we laughed a lot, and
yes.
That's why I said I like this woman. And but what an incredible place to be executive director of. And you grew up. Your grandparents raised you, and is that where they introduced you to gardening and?
You know, I could say the seed was planted there, no pun intended, because my grandmother was a fantastic lover of African violets, and those are hard things to take care of. And my grandpa planted tomatoes, so he was the vegetable guy. And so it was in my blood without me really recognizing how much I come full circle and love it.
Well, there's something about, as a child, having a garden, and you plant the seeds, you cultivate it, you water it, and when they actually start turning into vegetables, it's an amazing thing.
And when you're a little kid, I mean, you think you get your vegetables from Kroger.
Yeah,
so to be
comes
able
in a
to
bag.
know, exactly, to be able to know exactly that you have the power to do this magical thing is quite special. And we get to do that with over 40,000 kids every year at Memphis Botanic Garden.
Well, it has emerged to be so much more than it started out as. I moved here from Dallas in 1978. You're originally from California. As our last guest was from Oregon, then California, then got here. But however you get to Memphis, it's always a good thing. So
it is. Well, you know, actually, I grew up in Ohio.
Oh, wow.
My whole career has been California and Arizona. And that's why coming back to Memphis, I feel like I've come full circle, because every summer from the time I could walk till I went away to school, we went to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge for summer break.
Pretty cool places to go.
Yeah, and I'm going to date myself, but I went to Dollywood when it was Gold Rush Junction, for those that remember it then. Yes.
Well, I grew up in West Texas, and we would go to, they had the Davis Mountains, and my dad would get us up at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd drive 300 miles there because there's nothing in West Texas. So you had to travel somewhere to see anything. There certainly wasn't a Dollywood or whatever the other place was. I do want to talk about some more about your background, though. You've past president of the American Public Gardens Association, president and appointed board member of the Institute of Museum and Library Services. So you're internationally known and recognized. How did you end up coming to Memphis? I know it was a national search or international search for the.
It was a search, but I'm so glad they found me. I'll be very honest with you. Memphis Botanic Garden, as much experiences I had with public gardens wasn't on my radar. But when I heard there was a garden in Tennessee, I had to check it out. And I came in and I did a little secret shopping before my job interview and had them drop me off at the garden, and I fell in love.
It is an amazing place.
It's amazing where it's located. I like to call it 96 acres of opportunity because it's been loved. It's loved by the community. And I feel like I have the lucky job of just doing the fun stuff.
and there's plenty of fun stuff to take part there, and it's year-round. Of course, everybody knows about Live at the Garden, and so many great entertainers over the more than 20 years that they've been putting that on there. And we've always been proud to be a supporter of all those shows and having gone to all of them. It's an amazing run. And then, but you have all these other activities going on simultaneously. There'll be something else on stage in the afternoon before the big show comes on at night. And then after the Live at the Garden season's over, you still have a lot of other entertainment events going on at the stage, which has only been around for about 10 years now.
I know, but how lucky are we? I mean, there's nothing like that in the over 800 public gardens in the United States.
In fact, Sherry May, who we've got really good friends over the years, and we talk about it all the time, people come in, these artists come in, and they go, what's up with all the tables? They never go anywhere where, you got people sitting at tables, and it's like a dinner theater. And then they go, yeah, well, thousands more behind them.
That's right.
And everybody has a great view of the stage, and you have screens that are up so people in the back can see. And you could park your car in the old Goldsmiths parking lot and listen to the concert there just fine.
It's true. It's true.
And then you've got a lot of things that are coming up here in the next few weeks. You've got Halloween coming up. And the children's area, what is the name?
My Big Backyard.
My Big Backyard. I remember when Jim Duncan, they first came up with that idea, and I thought, kiddie park, okay, that'll be good. He goes, no, it's much bigger than that. And then as it developed, I went, this is pretty impressive.
It is wonderful. And I mean, I can't run into a place anywhere, a person anywhere in town. They have a memory there, either as a child or now they're bringing, grandchildren and their children. There's very few places where you can just drop your kids and they can be discoverers and feel really brave and courageous and run.
Let them go. Because it's encircled. So
yes.
They're hemmed in, as it were. The great thing about the garden, though, is that it changes gradually and new things are added. But if you were a kid in the 70s and went to the garden and you come back today as a grandparent, you still see the koi pond, you see the Japanese bridge, Japanese gardens. All those things have been here all those years. So it is kind of like going home for everybody.
It is. There's always going to be something that resonates with you, regardless of how many times you've come or how old you are. We're always going to make sure that we keep those things that are precious to the community of Memphis, but we're also really excited about a lot of future plans we have.
One of the things I love is your hothouse. You've got this huge new hothouse. And you've had some before, but they were in the back, and this is where you raise plants from seedlings and stuff. The new one is out there by Cherry Road.
Yes.
And every time I drive by there going to one of the shows at Live at the Garden, I said, I got to go in there and look at that. Because it's beautiful as well as functional.
Right, and it's tropical. So a lot of kids and people from Memphis, they're not used to seeing these kind of plants. So it's pretty cool to go in there and see stuff that you can't necessarily grow here. Just wait till you see it during Holiday Wonders when we light it all up.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Which is great that you do that too, because I've seen some grow lights on in there at night, but not all the colors you come up with. We just showed it inside. And this is another of My Big Backyard. And it shows kids running around. The trees are all lit with accent lights. And then during the, I guess it's the Christmas area, is the snow still happening? And y'all still do the snow?
We do. And we are also adding a whole new section. So if you're familiar with the Woodland area, that's going to become a magical portal where Santa makes all his magic happen. So it'll be a brand new spot to walk through in addition to all the favorites from before.
Well, and it also pays to be a member of the Botanic Garden.
Sir.
Tell me how you go about doing that.
Well, that's easy. You can become a member online, or you can just show up and we will sign you up to become a member at the door. And for families, it's really, it makes sense. Because as we talked about, you can bring your kids over and over again for a whole year to my big backyard for a price that, is very reasonable for a family of 4.
Well, and also you're helping maintain this incredible property, which is, you mentioned it earlier, 96 acres.
Yes.
How does that compare with other gardens around the country?
Well, we are considered a large garden. So I mentioned there's about 800 public gardens throughout the United States and Canada, and there's only 65 large gardens, and Memphis is one of them. They
Wow.
usually go by acreage a lot of times, so we're a big one, but some of them are 1,200 and some of them are 3 acres.
It's what you do with it is important.
It's what we do with it, and we make sure we take advantage of every square inch of that place.
But you host 260,000 visitors yearly.
We do.
Which is a lot, but 40,000 school children. And I know when I was director of development for the Orpheum, the school buses come every school year, and the look on children's faces as they walk into the Orpheum is something you don't ever forget. And I'm sure you see the same thing at the garden the first time they walk in there and see that beautiful place, because a lot of kids have never seen anything like that.
It's very true. It's and they're going to learn something. I like to say it's all about the conversation on the car ride home. But those school buses are excited when they leave just as much as when they get there, because they've learned new things.
I do know that when I go to the zoo and I see the school buses all lined up on East Parkway or North Parkway out there, I went, it's school day. It's going to be slow moving at the zoo. But congratulations on coming to Memphis. We're glad to have you. Has there been any kind of adjustments for you coming to Memphis? And
there have been adjustments, but they've all been great. I didn't realize how much I missed trees until I got back to this part of the country.
Yeah.
So I'm geeking out on our beautiful trees. I'm basically eating my way through Memphis, so if you have any good recommendations, you tell me, okay?
Everything is in business, because if they're not good, they don't stay in business in
That's
Memphis.
True. And then music, I mean, I feel like that's why the garden's special to me. We can be the connectors with music, the connectors with art, the connectors with nature, and I can't think of a better place to be.
Well, it's a place I've been living in almost 50 years. I've lived here longer than any place else in my life. And it's home, and it makes you feel like home, and that's why we do this show, is to talk about the great things about Memphis, and the Botanic Garden is certainly one of them. And
well, I've only celebrated 1 year here, but I have to tell you, it feels like home to me, too.
Well, it should. We like it. MaryLynn Mack, thanks for coming by, and we'll see you at the garden soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
You bet. We're going to take a quick break, hear from some other sponsors, and then we'll be right back with Michael Donahue. He's been everywhere, done everything, and eaten everything. So that's coming up next.
Hi, this is Randy Wright from the Dive Shop and Dive Ventures in Memphis. We've been in Memphis over 64 years teaching people to dive, snorkel, and swim. We'd love to have you come join us and have some fun. We're also a part of the Dive Ventures group with 18 locations across the country, stretched from Phoenix to Vienna, Virginia. Please give us a call. We'll be able to take care of you at 999 South Yates in Memphis, or call us at 901-763-DIVE.
Hi, I'm Brett Batterson, President and CEO of the Orpheum Theater Group in downtown Memphis. We are so pleased with our partnership with the Earle Farrell Show, and very happy that he is broadcasting live from Lansky's at the historic Peabody Hotel. We're all here to make Memphis better.
Hi, I'm Mitch Wright. And I'm his son, Mickey. And we're the owners of Mitch Wright Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
And proud sponsors of the Earle Farrell for Memphis show.
We're thankful to be part of the Memphis community. We've been in business for 42 years, taking care of people and loving the people of the Mid-South.
Hey, my name is Jake. I'm with Phoenix Unequaled Home Entertainment. I just wanted to introduce myself and kind of what I do here at Phoenix. I'm a sales engineer. A lot of the times we talk about home theaters, but there's so much more that we offer. We offer a lot of home security solutions, as well as water detection and everything. So if you guys ever need anything, give us a call. We'll get you guys fixed up.
And welcome back on this Wednesday afternoon in Lansky Brothers, home and clothier to the king, and also at the Peabody Hotel. We're just off the lobby. Joining us now is somebody that has, if you've been in Memphis 3 weeks, you probably met him at some event already. He was a reporter for many years, started his career at the Press-Simeter, Memphis Press-Simeter, which is no more, which is a tragedy. I got to know most of the reporters and editors for the Commercial Appeal and the Press-Simeter over the years, and they were great newspapers. And it's sad to see what's happened. The great thing about Michael Donahue, who is our next guest, is that he's like everybody else that has found a way to survive in the changing world of media, and you have. You came on as just a copy boy. Is that
started as from the bottom as a copy boy.
And then you kind of found a place. You said I was listening to your speech at Christ Methodist at the seniors' luncheon. You said that you were being punished by one of the editors, and they made you go cover all these events because I guess nobody else wanted to do it.
No, actually, the first one I ever covered was I was at the Press-Simeter, and I didn't want to do it, but they always had women, for the most part, cover society. It was called society events. And they needed somebody to cover the Justines had a big party that night, and nobody else to cover it. So in our department, so they said, you do it. The big editor, Milton Britton, you remember him?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, please don't make me do it. Everybody will make fun of me. And, so I went, I got a date, and she and I went to it was for the opera. The Metropolitan Opera was here. And it just turned out I'd never really covered anything like that. So I wrote about what I saw. I didn't follow a formula. And the after party was at Justine's. Pavarotti was there.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, and it turned out great. So the next day, when I went back to work, the editor said, this is great. We want you to do it from now on. I was like, oh, no. But so basically I've been doing it from now on. So that was 1980.
The great thing about it is you don't send a photographer in, or you may have done so in the early years because they had so many great photographers at the Press-Simeter and the Commercial Appeal who were all my friends. In fact, we had Dave Darnell on here recently.
Oh, I'd love to have seen that.
He was great.
Yeah, he was great. Super.
But you go in there and actually immerse yourself in everything you go to. You record things, you take pictures of the people who are there and who they are, and it really feels like if you didn't go to that event, you felt like you went there because of the way you would tell the story of what it was all about and who was there.
Well, the funny thing was the whole photo thing was, you're right, they used to that was a separate thing. You had your photographers and your reporters, the writers, and you didn't get on each other's territory. And so I always had photographers go with me to take pictures, but half the time I'd be arriving and the photographer would be leaving. Excuse me, let me knock everything. So one day I came to work and they said, we're not sending a photographer with you anymore. And they gave me a throwaway camera and said, start taking your own pictures. And it's like, I've never done this before, and how am I going to hold a camera and write and do this? And I've been doing it ever since. Another one of those things that I get to pick who I want to pick instead of have somebody pick some people that aren't even there when I arrive. And
if you're like me, I mean, a lot of times the photographer would go ahead of you or behind you, and then they wouldn't get the shots you really wanted, and they didn't get any of the names that you needed. And so you make sure you get everything, the names, and all the facts and what's going on there, and the people.
And I like the way you said immerse, because you really are. If you're taking the pictures and writing the names and following the action. But back then, back in the day, I would cover like 6 parties a night, 6 or 7 parties. I'd start either downtown and go east, or east at the Hilton and go down to the Peabody. But now it's at the Flyer. I still cover events, but one big event to go in the newspaper.
What is your criteria for because especially getting into this season, there are events every night, dozens on Saturday. How do you decide what it is you're going to go cover?
Yeah, it can be more than one, but usually something stands out that's going to have a good appeal, especially in the Flyer. So a lot of, like Cooper Young festivals and things like that, and even going to the Overton Park Shell and just picking people out, and something that people can relate to, rather than just I keep doing this. I'm sorry. Let me
you're
just
like
take
me.
this. What is this here for? No, that's.
We'll move it back a little bit
And
take you out of fist range.
But just anything, that a lot of people like. And I heard what you were talking about, young people watching the show. So you always want young people. So it's good to these events. You get young people to take photos of. And
well, speaking of young people, we got some photographs of you as a younger person.
I still look about the same.
You do.
Oh.
And then the gentleman behind you, is that Carl Perkins?
Yeah, that was just one of those lucky. That's my favorite publicity shot of all, I think. But I did actually a magazine story, Mid-South Magazine, at the Commercial Appeal. And he told me he'd give me an hour. And I went to Jackson. We talked 3 hours. And at one point, the phone rang. And he got on the phone. He said, I'll call you back, George. And he said, George Harrison.
Yeah. He'd live with George Harrison.
I was trying to memorize the phone number because he said, now, what's that number, George? And it was like 3261. I mean, I couldn't remember it. I tried to. But we went out to see his little recording studio. And if I see a piano or a keyboard, I'm going to start playing. And then he got behind me and just started playing. I was playing Blue Suede Shoes. And it was just one of those. But he was the nicest, sweetest guy. He cried during the interview at Stories. He just genuinely nice.
I met him here at the Peabody. Gary Bells introduced me to him. And we did an interview at the corner bar down here just behind us. And he was the nicest person, an entertainer and famous person I ever met. Totally unaffected by all the things that happened to him. He actually lived with George Harrison, I think, for a while at his mansion in England.
I think I heard that.
And he said, George, where are all your gold records and all the trophies and stuff? He goes, I keep it down the hall. And he went down there in this big walk-in bathroom, and all of his gold records are in this big, huge bathroom. He goes, I figured keeping him in the crapper would be the best place.
Well, did you get to, the only Beatle I got to interview was Ringo. So you would have been doing that.
I was there, class of 55. He was here. Ringo was here. Roy Orbison was here. I mean, that was really... I couldn't believe when I saw him. They were loading that car to take all the publicity videos. And I'm saying... And Ringo, he was here at the Peabody. Walk outside, and people in Memphis just go, hey, Ringo, like they see him every day. Anywhere else he goes in the world, they mob him. Mm-hmm. And in Memphis, it was like with Elvis. People would just wave,
If you have time, I mean, this is like a quick little story, but probably the luckiest break I got, and it was my biggest scoop, and it was a front page story. But I was walking down the street going to lunch on Beale Street, and I got a tip that U2 was going to be recording part of their new album at Sun Studio. And it was Herbie O'Mell.
Yeah.
For a long time, he said, don't tell anybody. The late, great Herbie O'Mell. So somehow I got in there, and I'm sitting in the room, in this kind of waiting room, and I can hear U2 recording this. And then the tour manager comes in the room and says, does anybody know what's going on in Memphis tonight musically? And it was a Tuesday. And I said, well, Linda Gale Lewis, Jerry Lee's sister, is playing on Beale Street. And he thought, this is great. And he brought Bono out, and she said, tell him what you just told me. And then Bono just started talking about how he loves Memphis and he loves the vibe. And I had my tape recorder, and I have this great picture. I don't know if I gave you that one of him. I have a big smile on my face, and with the tape recorder stuck in his face. But he was charming and great.
He also was very impressed with Graceland the first time he went there, because he said, I thought I was a big deal. Mm-hmm. Until I walked in and saw how many gold records there were on the wall from Elvis.
That's great.
But I hear that so many times from people, Jack Soden, all the people at Graceland, of all the famous people that come there, and are just in awe of what Elvis did and who he was, and the fact that he was the same person throughout his life. I never heard one negative thing ever said about anybody I've ever interviewed about Elvis. Have you?
Oh, I hear negative and all kinds of things. But, usually it's probably a lot of jealous people. but my chance to interview Elvis was, I was about 8 or 9 years old, and my dad worked for Paramount Pictures, the distribution company here in Memphis, and they had a showing at the Memphian Theater, and Elvis had rented it out, and my dad said, come on, we're all going to go meet Elvis. And I had it all worked out. I had a pack of Lifesavers, and I thought, I'm going to say, Elvis want a mint? And he'd have to say something, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't say no. And if he said one word, I could say I interviewed Elvis. He didn't show up.
He
So
stiffed you.
But speaking of that, real quick plug, I'm borrowing a Lansky's jacket, and I'm going for this look right here. Over here, there, can you see?
Hold it steady because
We don't get to keep it, but it's good. Well, it's Elvis. It's Elvis thing.
They got an incredible shirt that has Elvis's image on it, which was painted by this woman that actually came on the show.
Who?
She's the artist, official artist for Graceland.
Oh wow!
And her daughter is a authenticator in Betty Carper. Betty Harper is the artist name.
That's a great story.
And her daughter, it goes in and works on all the clothing and artifacts and authenticates all of that. Very interesting people.
That's a great story.
And she had painted this image on a shirt, which they've got here in Lansky's. And I held it up and I said, look at this. This is incredible. Because she paints it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hal has them made. And I said, the problem with this is you got Elvis's image on your chest. Then they look up and see you. And that's a killer, right?
Oh, that's so cool. That's cool. Oh, yeah.
But he really is. I'm continually amazed because I was kind of a fan. I liked a lot of his songs, but when I moved here, he died in August of '77. I got here in January of '78. And they sent me out to Graceland to cover his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
They get out there and they said, "See if anybody shows up." And I got out there and went, "They're here."
It's still going on.
Yeah.
You know, it's just new generations, young kids, and his reputation will never end, which is great.
You know, people used to say that this can't last much longer. Now there are kids that are coming there. They weren't even born when he died. I mean, now he's been gone almost 50 years. Think about that.
In 1957, it wasn't the big Russwood Park show, but there were 2 shows. And I don't even know if he performed. He may have just been a walk-on, but Susan Hayward was there, and but I remember he wore a big green suit, and we got to go see him there. And
Russwood Park was the big baseball field here, where Baptist Hospital used to be.
Yeah, that was the old.
We got another photograph here. Is this Billy Gibbons?
Yeah, and one of the night. That's another great person. And I did a story on ZZ Top for the Commercial Appeal and met him, and they were living here for a while.
Yeah, that Ardent.
And we got to be friends. I mean, this was, I can't remember what event that was, but he actually showed up. I had a Christmas party, a friend of mine, Peggy Birch, and I, and he showed up. We invited him. He came, and just charming. And I hadn't seen him since they had the opening of the Hyatt Centric over here, right after the pandemic. It was my first party to cover after, a year, 2 years,
yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
And he was one of the special guests, and still charming and funny and great.
When he was here during those year or so that they were recording at Arden, he would come to Sleep Out Louie's when I had Sleep Out Louie's downtown. He'd come in after the noonday rush, about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and sit at a table by himself, look at a newspaper or the Flyer, probably the Flyer.
I hope so.
And I would go up and say, "How's it going?" We'd just chat. But just a regular person. I mean, just a regular person. And I guess my question to you is, because you've met all these people over the years, does it amaze you? It does me that how many people who are unaffected by their greatness and are just decent people, then you come across somebody that's a real prick. And you go, what happens to people that they probably were always that way in either case?
I wish I could give names. I won't, but that's really only happened maybe 2 or 3 times.
Of all the people.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a phone interviews, and one was I met her in person, and I just thought it was a country music singer, and I always thought she was so down to earth in her videos and everything, and And, but people get tired, I guess. But I went up and said, I'm a really big fan. And she just, thank you. I mean, it was just kind of.
Yeah.
But one thing real quick about Billy Gibbons, I remember going in a movie theater once, and he and his date were sitting in the back row, and he had his beard stuck in his shirt. I mean,
incognito.
That was like being regular, I guess.
Did
just
he have
to
a
try
skull
to fit
cap on, though? Because that was always his big identifier.
But I'll just remember he had like a button-up shirt, one like you've got on, but he was sitting there like this, and you couldn't see his beard. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, it is kind of amazing, people. But then when you're doing interviews, as you know, like after 20 minutes, if you're doing a phone interview, if you can get them past their shtick and get them to just start talking,
And that is true. It's and I think there's a chemistry that happens when people are really sincere and they know that. And there's so many, because I've seen it happen while I've been waiting to interview people, and they're trying to ask them questions, either trip them up or get some kind of sensational. I never did that. I always ask honest questions that I think people really wanted to hear and learn more about them and who they really were.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me something about you and what you like and what you don't like, because that's what makes people endeared to you, is they find out you're a regular person.
Sometimes you get a lucky break. I mean, it was sad, but ages ago I had a phone interview with Stevie Ray Vaughan. And, I didn't know him or anything, but it started off, he said, well, my cat died today. So it wasn't the usual, I'm going to play so. And he was so wonderful. And that was just the groundbreaker, because I could sympathize with him and tell him I have a cat. And that kind of, like you said, that just broke the ice in a real way.
We just put up a picture of you and the young man, Austin,
from the Elvis movie.
Yeah. And you said he was a thoroughly nice person.
He was another one. I'm glad you're putting up all these pictures of nice people, but he's a young, nice person. But I wear bolos a lot when I'm dressing up. But when he came over to me, it was a lineup. They were like different reporters on a line, and they would go to different, like Tom Hanks. When he got to me, he smiled and said, I like your look, which is great. So instantly, it's like he's my favorite actor from now on. But he was super, and apparently his career, he wasn't typecast by Elvis, because he's making still big movies.
Yeah.
But he's another one that just, all you have to do is be nice to me, and it's just like, I like them.
Funny how that works.
The other two that I'm not telling you their names, but that's not.
And also, Priscilla and Lisa really liked him too. I think that was a big thing, that they wanted this to be a great, tribute to their husband and father, and they wanted the person to be really, really good. In fact, that really rejuvenated a whole new crowd of people going to Graceland, is what the Graceland people told me.
I bet.
Because that was such a successful movie, and it due largely in part to him.
Well, he just, when you look at him, like that picture, it's like he doesn't look like Elvis.
No.
But in the movie, he is Elvis.
Yeah.
He just does it. And he worked real hard, apparently, to do that, which is neat.
And then speaking of Priscilla, this is a picture of you and Priscilla.
Oh, I like that. That particular picture, I felt kind of bad, because I have a wonderful picture of she and I at a luncheon at the Hilton. And it was just, real nice picture of the two of us. And she's been very nice to me. But this was a special thing for her at Theater Memphis. And I felt like I went like, Priscilla, let's get a quick picture. It was kind of like, okay, I've only taken 400. But she didn't act like that at all. But it was like, I just felt like I was too pushy. I was the pushy reporter. But she's a lovely, charming person.
She came to Memphis to do a dedication to the stables behind Graceland, because it used to be wasn't part of the tour, and she really wanted it because she did some horse rescues that they had there at Graceland. And so my son's a big horse person. He said, Dad, it was in the summer, he said, can I go with you to Graceland and meet Priscilla? And of course, I had no idea if we would be able to or not. I said, sure, come on, I know her. She's a nice lady. Oh. So we get there.
My best friend.
Yeah, and she does the whole thing for everybody else. But I was actually, there were all photographers there, but no other reporters except for me. So I asked all the questions for the entire pool of photographers. After we got through, I said, Can I get a picture of you and my son? He's a big horse person, too. And so we're in the stables. He walks up and puts his arm around. They get a picture taken. And so he put it up. He said, "Me and Priscilla and Elvis's stables." And they got
great.
Their stables down outside Hernando. There's this picture and Priscilla up on the wall.
That's super.
But she was so nice and has been every time I've ever been around her.
She did something at Dixon. I don't know, it's when her book came out or something, but it was, crowded in the auditorium. Before she left, she met every single person.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched her go up to, and her, it's like, time to go, but she's like, no. And she made sure every guest got just
the only
greeting.
other person I ever saw do that was Bill Clinton at the '94 rally here at the Pyramid. I was working at Walker Associates. We helped put that on. So after the rally, he and Al Gore, they said, waved everybody. Al Gore, I don't know where he went, but Bill went down, and the line of people was about 8 deep. It wrapped all the way down the steps from the Pyramid, around the parking lot, all the way back to the retaining wall. Bill Clinton went up to each and every person in that line, shook hands with them, chatted with them, and then went to the next person. And he went till he had been through every single person. Never seen that before or since with anybody else.
I met him at he wasn't president, but it was a party in East Memphis, and I covered it. And I wasn't sure I was going to get to talk to him, but he was standing there, and I went up to him with my tape recorder again. And I remember the woman in charge of the party, not the host, and she went, no, and he went, oh yeah, and just like you said, so charming. And I taped him, got a great interview, and great photo with him. And no, he's another one. This is going to be like the nice celebrity show.
Well, I don't like.
We need to balance it with some people we don't like. Let's see.
Well,
I know it's like let's get some dirt. The people we. I've been lucky though, as far as people nice. I mean, it's just very, very few times you get people with an edge or nasty. I mean, and I'm talking like maybe 3 times, and I've been doing this 50 years, so that's pretty good. So.
We do have a picture of you doing something else you do on a regular basis, playing the piano.
And this was a recent picture.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I almost wore that same thing today, which would have been terrible. But yeah, I've been doing that since I was a teenager. I play parties.
And I thought you'd be good, but you really are. You're very, very talented, and you're very diverse. You can play anything. I've been to Christmas parties where you're playing Christmas music. I've been to where you're just playing background music, but people come up and ask you to play something, you do.
I can't play Jerry Lee.
Neither can I.
And one funny quick story, somebody I thought was going to be nasty, but the first time I ever covered Jerry Lee was at his birthday party. I think he lived over by the airport or something. And I went up to him with my notebook and tape recorder, and I said, Jerry Lee, I'm Michael Donahue with the Commercial Appeal. And he said, oh, that's your problem. And it just went downhill. But then I met him later, different things, and he would be real friendly or not friendly.
Yeah.
But I like him. I liked him.
My story with Jerry Lee, I knew J.W. Whitten.
Oh, I love J.
And so I go to back when Alon's was upstairs at Clark Tower, and I go in there, I had a date, and walk in, I see J.W. at a booth with Jerry Lee. And he sees me, and he goes, Earle, come over. So I go over and introduce them to my date, to Jerry Lee and J.W. And so we chatted for a minute. Then we said, well, nice seeing you. We're going to go grab a table. So we went to grab a table. A minute later, this waitress shows up with a bucket of champagne and a couple of glasses. And she said, Mr. Lewis sent this over. And I said, oh, that was very nice of him.
Wow.
And so she poured the glasses of champagne, and we sat there sipping. She comes back like 3 minutes later. She said, Mr. Lewis says if you're not going to join him, he wants his champagne back.
Oh. That's a great story.
And I said, well, take it away.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I meant to ask J.W. about this. He's kind of come on the show. I ran into him at
I'd love to watch that.
The Memphis Music Awards here just recently. And I said, I'd love for you to come on and just tell stories about. I mean, he met everybody in the world with Jerry Lee, and that was not an easy gig, Jerry Lee, because as you said, one day he's like this, the next day he's, but he survived all that and hung in there with him for all those years. And
JW is exactly the same. I mean, it's, how are you doing, Mike? But it's very direct.
Yeah.
I could see him
Yeah. Try to get him to smile for a picture. It ain't going to happen.
I don't think I've ever seen him smile. That's funny.
Somebody said, why does he not smile? I said, he doesn't like the look.
I tell you, that's very good. Yeah, I totally agree. But he's a great one, too.
How much has doing what you do changed in all the years you've been doing it? I mean, when you first started out, is it the fact that you know so much more? You know who everybody is?
That's so funny. And the person I interviewed that I was going to tell you about, but I'm not going to tell his name, was a recording artist. And I asked him, so how would you say your music's changed over the years? And he just blew up. He said, I guess you'd have to listen to my music before I could answer that question, which I still haven't figured out. So it was funny that you say it. It's a perfect question. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. But my colleague back at the commercial field, Mary George Beggs, who used to write the late Mary George, she wrote the society column, did a lot of that. And when she retired, I always thought this was such a great quote. She said, covering social events, you're really documenting history. You're documenting what people were wearing, what they were eating, what music they were listening to, what types of parties they went to. And that's, and I've watched that change so much. It's just, you used to have the boot scooting party. Well, you have too. You've seen all of these. But you had the boot scooting parties. You had the, there was a routine.
The JR years with Who Shot JR in Dallas.
Oh, yeah. And then the disco. I mean, what was the Urban Cowboy?
Had Cowboy that was up there at the Clark Tower, too.
Oh, Cowboy. Well, it was the Feathers, the Urban Cowboy, when the movie came out, and then the guys wore the hats with the big I mean, it was all kinds of things. But it's, and I've been covering music since way back. I got to cover the Antenna performers way back when the Antenna opened. Yeah. And just, watching the music change. And I was born in Memphis, so I've literally been through all of rock and roll, all of that stuff, and to where we are now. And I'm still covering bands. So that's another, and you don't realize it because, these things go so fast. Your 2 shows a week go by like that, and then you got 2 more, and then 2 more. And when you can step back and think about who all you talked to and what they said and how it changes, it's wonderful.
What the great thing about me being a reporter here for all these years is I got to start meeting everybody almost from the beginning. I moved into the Tower Apartments below John and Pat Tigert.
Oh, you got to meet everybody in one night.
Yeah, and they entered, Fred Smith, everybody. And the thing about Memphis that I love is that people are approachable here. And, I came from Dallas where not everybody was, you could be approached, but they had to be a millionaire too.
Yeah.
And here, people really don't care whether you have money or not. Do they like you? If they like you, you have access.
See, that was a telling example. I had taken pictures at parties, and sometimes they didn't want their picture taken, but Fred Smith and Diane, his wife. But I used to go to a lot just by myself to Frank Grisanti's at the Embassy Suites, and sometimes I'd see Pat Tigert and John, her husband, and Diane and Fred, and they'd have a big table. But one night I was in there, and Fred was by himself at a table, and I'm sure I said hi, but I was by myself at a table. So he asked the waiter to ask me to come over and join him for a drink at his table, and he said, I just want to find out about you, all about, and it was just so laid back, so friendly, and another nice person to add to the list today.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about the bad people. He used to come into the sleep outs all the time, and Diane would call, say, we're on our way downtown. Can we come through the back door? Because they never liked to make any kind of a fuss. Mm-hmm. And so they'd come through the back door off the alley, where we used to have the alley parties, and we had a big booth for 10 in the back. They'd have all their kids and crowd in there, and never a hassle, just always extremely nice. But Diane would always leave a big tip under her plate because Fred didn't believe in tipping more than 10%.
Oh, really?
So
that's
Diane
wonderful.
would always over tip.
I know why he's so rich. That's so wonderful.
But I got to work on the attempt to get an NFL team with Fred and Ron Terry and Paul Tudor Jones and Billy Donovan. So I was running the slide projector. That was my big contribution at the presentation in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So we'd go fly there and we'd come back. Pepper Rogers was with us.
I was just thinking about him.
And we get off the plane, and Fred just had gotten a new Explorer, which that's why he wears black suits, ties, white shirts, drives a black Explorer, and they pull this thing around by where the FedEx plane was we flew in on. And so Pepper and I out there with his bag getting ready to put it in his car, but it's got one of those toggle switches. This way it raised the whole door and window, this way it was just the window. And we're standing there looking at it. Fred comes up and he goes, "What are y'all looking at?" I said, "Well, we're trying to figure out how to open the door. We've never seen one of these before." He goes, "Hell, if we can't open the back of my car, we ain't never getting an NFL team." And he was right. But he had a great sense of humor.
There's just something laid back about these Southern people, which is refreshing. I just, being at the Peabody, I'm sure you've met a lot of people here. I remember just Priscilla sitting at the bar, the lobby bar. Morgan Freeman, was at dinner. When I walked up to him, he threw his napkin at me. We always had kind of this... not love-hate, but just kind of, funny kind of thing like that. But
he's got a great sense of humor.
I remember when Nelson Mandela was here, and we were told, it was like the press was invited, but it was like, don't talk to Nelson Mandela. But where I was standing, here I am, and there's Nelson Mandela, like 3 feet away. So I had to ask him a question. I don't remember what I asked, but he answered it, so I can say I interviewed Nelson Mandela. But there's another, charming person,
Morgan Freeman, we interviewed him down at his restaurant in Clarksdale, Medidi, and Kathy was with us, and Steve Connolly came along on that, and then my photographer, and we were going to do an interview before dinner. And so I introduced myself, and then my photographer was next, or Kathy was next, then my photographer, and I said, "This is my photographer." And he goes, he put his hand, he goes, "I don't shake hands with photographers." My photographer goes, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." He goes, "Get over here."
Oh, I know. He had that irascible humor,
I asked him, I said, how did you come back to Clarksdale, which is near where he grew up? And I said, "You could live anywhere in the world." He said, "That's exactly right. I could live anywhere in the world. I choose to live here." And I said, "My friends in Hollywood think it's a racist state, which it's not, and that a bunch of rednecks, which they're not." He said, "These are the nicest people in the world." And what I did was, when I came back, I went to the hardware store, the barber shop, the grocery store, and said, "Hi, my name is Morgan Freeman, and I don't want to be the zoo. I want to be able to go to all the places you go to, come in and say hi, and you say, 'Hey, Morgan.'"
That's great.
And so he said, "I was just somebody that lived in the neighborhood." And I thought that was brilliant.
That's great. I think you and I need to write a book. I know
we have to be a little negative if we do that.
No, we're just not doing that on the air.
No.
We can get negative, but no.
Well, you can always do it and describe it without saying the name, and they get the point of it. So It's better to be nice than it is to be not nice.
We all have a million stories, but it's, I pretty much told a little bit about it, but
when people see you and they see you at parties, they know who you are, and I think a lot of people are reluctant to go up and say anything to you because they think that they're sucking up to you to get their picture taken. What is your advice to them?
Please. That's my job, is to take pictures. Please come up. And, then that comes up. I just saw a woman recently. I saw you the other day at a party, but I didn't want to bother you. Because it's like, I'm being paid to be there to take pictures of people, and I enjoy it, and it's interesting how many people, close friends I've made just from doing that, real friends.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, like with that pad, which I don't use anymore sometimes, but now it's all on the phone if I write something, but you can go up to anybody. If you saw somebody that looks interesting, that pad or that phone, and I work for the paper, can I get your name? And half the time they end up becoming friends, and you'll see them again. Then you can't remember their name the next time.
But they'll tell you.
Yeah.
You remember me?
How are you doing? It's just like, I remember them, but I'm really bad at names. And the good thing about taking photos now is I can go back and find their name.
Look them up. I think the whole thing about meeting people, because I have people come to you and say, you interviewed me 34 years ago at this place, and it's amazing. I go, I remember that. I don't remember your name, but I remember the story. And
That's great.
The same thing with you with events and parties. And it's the great thing about it is you really like people, and you have to like people to go to all the things you go to. The other thing is, I see all these food shots all the time. How do you stay skinny? Because you eat all the time.
I don't. I eat, but I don't eat like that all day long. I mean, I start the day out really, really healthy. I do oatmeal, old-fashioned oatmeal, and I put a can of evaporated milk on it. I have an orange.
That is very good.
A pot of coffee. But then I could be eating,
Well, you go to Dino's a lot. In fact, we were just talking to Chris.
But Dino's ravioli has spinach in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have meat. So it's really...
There's meat sauce on it, but not in it, right?
But I get marinara with it. So
yeah.
Half the time. So it's... I mean, you can get it both ways, and it's delicious, but that, to me, is a healthy Italian place
All
to eat.
Italian food is healthy. All Italian.
And cheese is actually good for your heart.
Yeah. I keep saying that to myself.
So
this is good. This is good.
Go to Dino's for health food.
In fact, Tuesdays, isn't that what Chris was saying a while ago? It's all you can eat spaghetti night. Thursdays.
But all you can eat is one. All I can eat is one plate.
I couldn't eat more than a plate. He said he had to stop at 2, but I can't imagine that.
Oh, I've seen people do that.
Really?
I can't. I mean, I don't want more than that.
No.
But I've been trying different Italian. I went back to just spaghetti marinara for the first time at Pete and Sam's, which has the best steaks ever. I mean,
do they really? Which steak is it?
Well, my parents used to go with their friends, and my mom would bring back half of her sirloin strip. That's what they used to get.
Yeah.
So for years, that's all we ever ordered was steaks when we went. And then I think I went by myself and started eating the Italian food, and now they have everything. They even have specials. I mean, it's just really good.
Pete and Sam's is really like stepping back in time. So is Dino's. But Pete and Sam's, you see everybody you know when you go there. Jack Salmon's is there 99% of the time. I don't know. He flies back in just to eat dinner and then leaves again.
It's just great. I love that restaurant.
But there's so many great things like that in Memphis, and I think that's one of the great things you do is it keeps all that front and center for people, and even where you eat, because it's a great big tour guide of Memphis, and what's great about Memphis is why I wanted to have you on today, because you're an eyewitness to history and the social events of Memphis, and that's such a big part of Memphis.
Thank you. And a way to keep up with those old restaurants and ones that have been around, I do a column called Classic Dining in Memphis Magazine, and I had never been to Atan. I can't believe, everybody, when I walked in to do this story, all these people I knew were in there and said, I can't believe you've never been to Atan. I can't believe. And it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's like you go in there and there's all your friends. It's, where have I been? I just, my family's gone. But now I'm going to be going a lot. It was great.
Well, you were talking about Justine's too. Justine's was open when I moved here, and it was really like stepping back in time. The waiters, everything about that place.
I love
Justine,
the menu, everything. She didn't change her menu, and thank goodness, because I would get the same thing. Pompano, Louisiana, with all that cream sauce and goopy stuff, But I love Justine's. It was just so... And who you would see every week were the Mednicows.
Oh,
Bob
really?
and Betty Mednicow had their own table, and I think they had the same night maybe. But it was like every time I'd go in, which was really basically my birthday or something, and the Mednicows, it'd be like, how great to be able to eat dinner once a week.
Once a week at Justine's.
I know.
I know, because when the waiter came up to me, I was just a young reporter at Channel 3, and he said, and your wine for the meal, sir? And I looked at it, I said, that one, which is the cheapest bottle on the list.
Oh.
He goes, oh, very good. I said, thank you very much. And I handed him the wine list really quickly and said, just bring it. Just bring it. No commentary.
My editor, the late, great Angus McCarran, I remember telling him that story when I was like maybe college or something, but early, when I went to Justine's. And we were nervous. My date and I, she sat there, and we were just kind of like sitting there, the old, never been to an expensive restaurant and Angus said, well, the reason was because you knew that the waiter knew more than you did, and which is true.
Yeah.
But I love that place. I love the food and just everything, the look, and there's nowhere like that with that ambiance and the antiques and the
same. Four Flames no longer with us. Just look at all the great restaurants. Anderton's. I loved Anderton's.
I loved Anderton's too.
We used to go there with Ed Graney, Ron Childers, and Ed Graney. I'd go and have a martini. It was like being in a scene of Perry Mason.
That was my drink back in the day. Beefeater, gin, martini, up with 3 olives.
There you go.
I mean, that was it. It was. And yeah, that's what I remember about it. They had the right glasses. They had everything perfect at Anderton. And just the way they had all that
the
Art
ship,
Deco-y.
the bar, and
My brother did those murals, which are now at the Cove. They were back in the Oyster Bar.
Yeah.
And a little story was when he finished the painting, Mr. Anderton, I got to tell you that story. Mr. Anderton wanted to be on the deck as a captain, so my brother painted him. But my favorite food story, if we have time for this, but I went in Anderton's once. This was way back in the day. I wasn't writing food or anything, and I got a steak, and I took a bite out of it, and it tasted just funny. I think it was the marinators. So I returned it, and the server came back with the steak with another bite out of it, and she said, "Mr. Anderton said there's nothing wrong with that steak." And I didn't know what to do, so I just ate it. And it's like, okay, well, if Mr. Anderton's...
If he took a bite of it and he liked it... that is a great story.
That was great.
Well, you're right. We do have a million stories. I'd like to have you back maybe during the holidays and talk about great holiday places to go because you go to all of them. And people, people come to town, and Peabody Lobby is especially one of them, but so many places like... your favorite restaurant, Rob, the Majestic. At Christmas time, they play all those black and white Christmas movies on the screen because it used to be a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just talk about that and give people some pointers on where to go. And
tonight, I'm going to the new Tonica location. It's right over here where the old Paramount restaurant was, which was my dad's old office.
Oh, really?
So we're going to go over there. That'll be fun. And you know what'll happen? We'll start off with that theme, and then we'll start talking about people we've interviewed, and then go way off you probably had a million other questions, but it's just fun to just talk.
That is the way I interview. Kathy will tell you, I'll start off on one leg, and then we'll go down a rabbit trail, another rabbit trail. But it's all interesting.
It should be a conversation.
And it is.
And that's the best interviews. Just sit down like you're talking over a beer or something.
Well, next time we'll have a beer. We got a bar right here.
Well, there you go. That's great. Well,
Michael Donahue, thank you, sir.
Super fun. Thank you.
It was. We'll do it again.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. And it'll always be somebody interesting, just like Michael Donahue. See you.